They say money buys safety, access, and control. This video proves the opposite. These couples had everything: wealth, experience, and every warning imaginable. Yet one bad decision erased it all. No villains, no freak accidents, just arrogance, hesitation, and moments where common sense vanished. From luxury safaris to private jets and super yachts, these are the most shocking ways rich couples died after ignoring the rules that keep everyone else alive. If you appreciate deep dives into real cases where small decisions lead to irreversible consequences, make sure you're subscribed before we continue. The silent ghost plane. On a clear September morning, Larry and Jane Glazer boarded their sleek TBM 700 for a routine flight from New York to Florida. Larry was experienced, confident, and comfortable at altitude. The aircraft climbed smoothly, systems humming, autopilot ready to shoulder the workload. Minutes after departure, Larry radioed air traffic control, requesting a descent. That transmission became his final voice to the ground. High above the earth, the cabin began to lose pressure. At cruising altitude, oxygen thins to a level the human body cannot tolerate. Vision narrows, thoughts blur, a false calm creeps in. Hypoxia does its work quietly and fast. Inside the cockpit, seconds mattered. Masks were available. Procedures were trained. Yet the moment slipped away. The plane kept flying. Autopilot followed its programmed course south, steady and obedient. Controllers called again and again. No reply came. Radar showed the aircraft cruising on, silent, unreachable. The situation escalated from concern to alarm as hours passed. Military jets rose to meet the wandering aircraft. Pilots pulled alongside and looked through the cockpit windows. Larry sat slumped forward, unmoving. Frost coated the glass, a sign of extreme cold and depressurization. Jane was unseen, likely already unconscious on the cabin floor. The jet flew on, empty of awareness, full of fuel. For more than 1,600 miles, the ghost plane crossed skies and ocean. There was nothing dramatic inside, only stillness and fading air. Eventually, fuel ran dry. The TBM 700 lost power, spiraled downward, and vanished into the Atlantic north of Jamaica. Larry and Jane Glazer died with every advantage money could buy: training, technology, and time measured in seconds. Hypoxia stole those seconds. A mist mask, a quiet cockpit, a flight that never knew it was already over. Control faded, warning signs passed, and the sky kept moving while awareness slipped away. Masters of the mountain, Terry and Renee Sciurza, lived their lives in snow and elevation. In Bend, Oregon, their name carried weight. Terry's family opened the town's first ski shop in 1939. Decades in the mountains shaped his instincts, his confidence, and his reputation. Renee shared that world. Backcountry terrain was familiar ground. Avalanches were studied risks, spoken about with precision and respect, which makes what happened on Black Crater deeply unsettling. In mid-February, the mountains outside Bend sat under heavy snowfall. Wind sculpted slabs across steep faces, layering unstable snow on top of weak foundations. The avalanche forecast read considerable, a word that seasoned riders understand as danger with teeth. Slides were likely. Terrain choice mattered more than ever. Yet that morning, Terry and Renee rode out on their snowmobiles, heading for a wind-loaded slope on Black Crater. The landscape looked inviting. Smooth, steep, perfect for high marking, a maneuver where riders climb as high as possible up a slope to test skill and machine. It turns mountains into scoreboards. It also places full weight onto the exact slopes avalanche experts warn against. They took turns riding upward. One climb, then another. Each pass stressed the snowpack further. The slab fractured beneath them without mercy. Hundreds of feet of snow broke free at once, roaring downhill with the force of a freight train. There was no time to react, no escape line, no second chance. The avalanche swallowed both riders instantly. Friends watching from safer terrain saw the entire mountainside collapse. Rescue began immediately, frantic and focused. Probes punched through snow. Transceivers screamed. Time drained away. Terry and Renee were recovered buried deep beyond survival. This was no random tragedy. The slope was known. The conditions were broadcast. The risk was understood. Expertise did not save them. Familiarity dulled caution. Confidence replaced restraint. They died where they felt most at home, beneath a mountain they trusted, taken by a force they knew intimately and challenged anyway. The calm water flip. Craig and Brenna Millett had built the life many dream about. Early retirement. Sunshine. Open water stretching out beyond the bow of their 39-foot boat. Near Cape Coral, boating was routine, familiar, almost second nature. They knew these waters well. Friends described them as careful, capable, relaxed at sea, which makes what happened on November 29th feel deeply wrong. That afternoon began quietly. Calm skies, light winds, smooth water. Craig, Brenna, and a friend set out with no sense of urgency and no reason for concern. Hours later, their boat was discovered overturned near the Cape Coral Yacht Club. Hull up, cabin submerged. No radio call, no flares, no signs of impact. The ocean had not roared. It barely whispered. Rescue teams arrived expecting survivors. Instead, they found 3 lives already gone. Investigators faced an unsettling puzzle. Boats of that size do not simply roll over in glassy conditions. Something had shifted fast and violently. The leading theory centered on physics rather than weather. Weight imbalance, a sudden high-speed turn, a sharp maneuver that forced momentum to one side, lifting the hull past its tipping point. Once a large boat crosses that threshold, recovery becomes impossible within seconds. Cold shock, disorientation, darkness. A capsized vessel traps air briefly, then floods without mercy. Even experienced boaters struggle to escape a flipped cabin, especially when the inversion happens without warning. What haunts this case remains the silence. No mayday, no call for help. Whatever happened unfolded too quickly for reaction. Experience offered no buffer. Calm water provided no forgiveness. The Millets spent years mastering their environment. In the end, familiarity may have bred comfort. Comfort invited speed. Speed invited error. One small miscalculation turned a peaceful afternoon into an unsolved maritime tragedy. The water looked harmless. The conditions felt safe. Yet the margin for error stayed razor thin, waiting for a moment that tipped everything upside down. If this story caught you off guard, drop a like and subscribe to Final Moments for more real-world cases where choices matter more than luck. The Lion King. Namibia's plains stretch wide and beautiful, filled with life that commands respect rather than mercy. Bernd Cabell understood that better than most. A wealthy German philanthropist, he funded conservation efforts and supported the protection of lions across the region. These animals were part of his identity, his passion, his purpose. In May 2025, Bernd and his wife Connie stayed at a luxury, tinted camp set deep inside unfenced wilderness. This was authentic safari country. No barriers, no glass. The rules existed for one reason only: survival. After sunset, guests remained inside their tents. Darkness belonged to predators. Late that night, Bernd made a decision that felt ordinary. Nature called. The tent door sat inches away. The night air felt still. Instead of using the facilities inside, he stepped out into the blackness for a few quiet moments. The lioness was already there. She reacted instantly, driven by instinct rather than malice. The attack happened within seconds. Connie heard the sounds from inside the tent and screamed for help. Guides rushed in, firing warning shots, chasing the animal into the dark. The damage was already done. Bernd Cabell died only steps from safety, killed by the very species he spent years protecting. The aftermath deepened the cruelty of the irony. The lioness was tracked and euthanized, labeled a problem animal after a human encounter she never invited. For a brief period, conservation workers unknowingly named the lioness after Bernd in tribute to his support, only to realize later the truth of what had happened. His wealth, knowledge, and love for wildlife offered no protection once the basic rule of the wild was broken. In that moment, compassion met instinct. The food chain reasserted itself, and a man who gave everything to conservation became part of the landscape he believed he understood. The Furling Boom Disaster. Carl and Anna-Marie Faller spent 19 years together chasing adventure. In 2016, they married barefoot on a Mauritian beach, then abandoned corporate careers in Cologne to sail the world. Their dream took shape as Escape, a CMB 66 luxury yacht worth nearly $2 million. Designed for small crews, the boat relied on a complex furling boom system that demanded precise coordination during heavy weather. By June 2022, Escape sailed north from Bermuda toward Nova Scotia. Two experienced sailors joined the crossing, yet unfamiliar gear and divided responsibilities created hidden risk. Carl kept control of the main sail system. Anna-Marie managed the sheet. The new crew steered, learning as conditions worsened. Early squalls tested the setup, though the team pressed on, encouraged by speed and forecasts. Then the storm arrived. Winds surged past 30 knots. Waves towered. Orders flew across the cockpit, spoken in German, while the American crew struggled to follow. During an urgent reefing attempt, tension vanished from the main sheet. The boom swung with brutal force. Anna-Marie fell first. Seconds later, the sheet struck Carl, crushing his leg and tearing flesh apart. Chaos ruled the deck. Lines snapped. The boom raged free. Blood pooled fast. Hundreds of miles from land, the crew fought to stabilize the yacht while issuing mayday calls into the dark. Rescue plans stretched across oceans, fuel limits, and hours measured in pain. A helicopter reached Escape only after a daring refuel at sea. Anna-Marie died after evacuation. Carl followed during transport. The ocean spared the yacht, yet claimed its owners. Investigators later faced a harsh truth. Experienced sailors stood aboard, though critical systems stayed confined to one person. Training came late. Language barriers stayed unresolved. Complex equipment met exhaustion and storm force. Wealth built Escape. Confidence carried it offshore. A single decision about crew use and preparation turned a dream voyage into a fatal lesson written in wind and steel, forever remembered here. The life jacket choice. They didn't wake up planning a disaster. They planned a day on the water, a private boat, family on board, sunshine overhead. The danger entered long before the hull began taking on water. It entered with preparation, or the lack of it. This couple owned the boat. They controlled the outing. They chose comfort over caution. No life jackets were worn. Children climbed aboard, trusting the adults responsible for every decision. On recreational vessels, safety equipment exists for one reason only. Emergencies do not announce themselves. They arrive fast, uneven, and unforgiving. When the boat began to fail, panic followed. That panic gets filmed, shared, replayed. Viewers focus on screams and scrambling. The real story happened earlier, quietly, when safety rules were treated as optional. Life jackets work before accidents, not after. Once a vessel flips, seconds replace plans. This was a preventable risk layered onto people who had no control. Kids cannot demand flotation. Relatives do not set policies. Responsibility sat squarely with the owners who decided preparation was unnecessary. Wealth provided access to a boat. It also provided access to safety gear. One was used. The other stayed untouched. Boating accidents rarely begin with waves or storms. They begin with assumptions. Calm water creates confidence. Familiarity dulls urgency. The belief that help will arrive replaces the discipline to prepare. When something goes wrong, physics takes over. Boats capsize faster than people expect. Water exhausts strength faster than fear suggests. This case belongs here because the danger was chosen. The chaos was the result, not the cause. Children became victims of adult judgment. Lives were placed at risk to preserve comfort and appearances. The lesson is simple and brutal. Owning expensive equipment does not replace responsibility. On water, preparation is protection, and skipping it gambles with everyone aboard. Every safety rule ignored beforehand multiplies consequences later, turning ordinary outings into irreversible moments that money, speed, or confidence cannot undo ever. The pattern behind every tragedy. When you strip away the locations, the vehicles, and the money, the same pattern repeats in every case. None of these people woke up planning to die. They planned experiences, adventures, milestones. The fatal moment arrived earlier during preparation, when a rule felt optional or a warning felt excessive. Safety systems exist because human judgment fails under pressure. Oxygen masks are built into aircraft because brains shut down before panic arrives. Avalanche ratings exist because experience does not override physics. Life jackets work because water drains strength faster than fear can motivate it. Wildlife rules exist because animals do not recognize wealth, intent, or good deeds. Another pattern is delegation without understanding. Complex equipment placed into unfamiliar hands. Roles assigned without rehearsal. Assumptions made instead of drills practiced. When conditions deteriorated, confusion replaced coordination. Seconds disappeared. Finally, comfort played a quiet role. Luxury reduces friction. It makes danger feel distant. Smooth cabins, powerful engines, and expensive design create a false sense of margin. That margin does not exist. Nature, altitude, weather, and momentum remain indifferent. The takeaway is simple and uncomfortable. Preparation is not paranoia. It is respect. Respect for environments that do not forgive mistakes. The most dangerous belief in every story was the same, that this time will be different. Safety does not ruin experiences. It is the only reason some people get to have them again. In each case, the danger wasn't hidden. The warnings existed. The rules were clear. The moment that mattered came quietly, when someone decided safety could wait, that experience had replaced caution, or that preparation was optional. These couples didn't run out of money. They ran out of margin for error. Nature, physics, and simple procedures do not negotiate. They don't care how successful you are, how experienced you feel, or how many times you've gotten away with it before. One decision can collapse a lifetime of planning into seconds. If there's one takeaway, it's this: luxury never cancels responsibility. If these stories made you stop and think, share your thoughts below. Which case shocked you the most? And if you value stories that expose the real cost of bad decisions, subscribe and stay with us for the next one.